8:06, and we're always excited to have this gentleman on, Dr. Bob Denton, Director of School of Communications and W. Thomas Rice Chair at Virginia Tech. Good morning, Dr. Bob. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Good morning to everyone.
You know, you're a handsome fella. Can I say that on the air? When I pull up your...
That's not creepy at all.
No, I mean, I'm looking at his picture because I always want to get it right, where you're at and what you're doing and what part of you are of this and that. And I'm noticing you're a handsome fella.
Oh, my God. Now, when's the last time you had your prescription?
Oh, now I wouldn't say
Lord,
that.
Dude, I'm worried about you now.
Well,
I know I look like 40, but I'm knocking on the door of 70. So
are you really?
And rocking it.
Well, you really look good if you're pushing 70, my friend. So we'll talk about your diet after we finish the interview. But we're so glad that you're here with us. And we usually talk about Virginia state politics, and we certainly have a lot going on right now, Dr. Denton. One of the things that when I reached out to you earlier this week was how they were trying to stick this Texas abortion law directly to Glenn Youngkin. And I'm just curious if that's been successful so far.
Well, there's no question that the governor's race is becoming nationalized as it relates to issues. And when you look at the race right now, McCullough, 100% name recognition, former governor, has a record. In 6 polls, he's not even at 50%. There's less Democratic enthusiasm. Youngkin is actually winning among the independents. So they got to activate their base. And really for McCullough, yes, he'll get the minority vote, but it is, quite frankly, about suburban and women and married white women that abandoned the Republicans in the last 2020. So this is absolutely an attempt for him to garner some interest and certainly targeted to women. He's going to need that vote, critical vote, if McCullough is going to prevail.
Well, this is going to be a silly comment, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. And white women across Central Virginia, forgive me for this next statement, but doggone it if Glenn Youngkin isn't more handsome than Terry McAuliffe. Is that going to come into play?
That is insulting.
I'm just asking a question. It's a legitimate question.
I don't think that's a legitimate question. Do you think that's fair, Dr. Bob? Or do you think it's more about women falling prey to feelings and I feel like he's a nicer person.
You just said white women are fickle just a second ago.
I did, but not on looks. I mean, my gosh, McAuliffe. Blech.
Well, I'm saying I think Glenn Youngkin is, as a man who just expressed how he felt about...
I don't give a rat's butt about how either one of them look like. They better start doing the right things.
I just expressed how handsome Dr. Dent looks, and I'm just curious if Glenn Youngkin looks more youthful.
I apologize, Dr. Bob.
He's got a wavy hair and all that.
You need to stop talking.
Okay.
Well, you notice the crickets here. I'm not saying anything. But, historically... single-issue voters, certainly issues do matter.
Sure.
But above that there is this notion of likability.
Yes.
And we're finding now that likability can surpass unless you're a single-issue voter.
Right.
Part of likability is relation. Do they understand who I am? Are they kind of like me?
Right.
You remember when Bill Clinton knew the price of a gallon of milk and poor Daddy Bush had no idea because he hadn't bought anything in how many years. And so likability and attractiveness is one of the 5 dimensions as it relates to likability.
Yeah.
It is not a major factor, but certainly in the age of going through the television era, the general attractiveness was measurable.
Yes.
Today, less so.
Okay, fair enough. All I know is like when I'm clicking on...
That was beautifully nuanced.
It was very artful the way he wordsmithed that.
But in all fairness, I do believe that women are swayed by feelings. And I think that's part of what happened with the Trump thing. They didn't like the nastiness,
right,
and some of the things that he did there.
Sure.
And that's why I think Youngkin really does stand a chance, because I don't think McAuliffe is going to be able to distance himself from Northam.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Bob?
Well, the debate's going to be kind of interesting there. Clearly, the race right now is within the margin. At a 45 to 48, 50% turnout, it'll be a 3 or 5 point race. So turnout is very critical, and the enthusiasm is going to be very important there. So right now, it's a 100-yard dash. And the debate's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of focus because that'll probably be the only debate, and there will be national attention. But also, the next 100-yard dash, millions of outside money will come in, and it will all be 80% attack. And so it's going to be a vicious air war that will start pretty soon, probably starting next week in an intensity.
I noticed, because I use YouTube to get some of our sound bites for our show, that it seems to me anyway that when I click on a video, the ad is a Glenn Youngkin ad. 50% more times do I see a Youngkin ad pop up than I do a McAuliffe. Is he doing a better job using the internet maybe than McAuliffe, or what? It may be an algorithm reason that it's popping up on my particular YouTube.
Well, I think overall the Youngkin is a very smart campaign. Probably, I thought George Allen, historically one of the best, Bob McDonald, one of the best, and I'm seeing a very reasoned and very smart campaign by Youngkin right now. And he has obviously some pressure points. But when it comes to the social media and the digital campaign, by far, it's excellent. And they're doing a wonderful job there. And quite frankly, they're allocating more money to that than any other gubernatorial campaign has. And so it's very smart. Now, we know that the millennials tend to, obviously that's the largest voting bloc by age, eligibility. They obviously tend to vote Democratic. But right now it's about, through the social media and digital, it's micro-targeting.
Right.
And so you're right. Talking to those based upon the data, to talk to someone who has leanings toward your particular candidate or party. So it's very smart in the micro-targeting. And so, again, right now, probably an A- in terms of the campaign. It's a very strong campaign structurally.
What do you think a little bit further down the ticket? I know that Trey and Janet, I was working on some stuff, but they were talking about further down the ticket, our Lieutenant Governor and Attorney General. How are things looking there?
Well, the simple fact is if the top of the ticket wins by 5 points or more, that's usually enough to pull the other two.
Okay.
Few people... the bottom of the ticket, or the second, and the Attorney General and Lieutenant Governor, do not determine the top of the ticket.
Right.
So it's the other way around.
Sure.
If you see anywhere under a 3 to 5 point kind of race, then you might see a Lieutenant Governor or a Attorney General of a different party has certainly the potential to win. But normally it's all about the margin of victory at the top. Now, if you're an Attorney General or if you're a Lieutenant Governor, the other rule is do no harm to the ticket.
Right.
And so that can be good or bad depending upon the issue.
Right. Now, early voting starts just in the next week or so. Is that right?
I think the 17th. Yes.
17th, okay. How do you see that coming into play? I have a friend that listens to our program. He's very well connected. He's been involved in campaigns, and he is like all about voting early. Just wondering what your thoughts are in the what is it called, the chain of custody that we learned last election. I learned a lot more about that, how that works, and the consistency and the protection of those votes.
Well, I despise early voting.
Okay.
Hadn't even had a debate, hadn't even seen the full realm of focusing in on the particular issues. But from a campaign perspective and a strategic perspective, yes, because every vote that's early, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. It's in the box, and no question that the early voting can very much historically can tend to help Democrats more than Republicans. Voter integrity, that broader concept, is viable, but when you listen to people as they describe, like the Texas voting law and things like that, there's still a lot of uncertainty. But it's not about fraud, but it's about how certain am I that my vote is verified and that it counts. And so some of the argument about IDs and some of that stuff is really a distraction, but it's about on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident am I of the overall results? And if the majority of the citizens get to the tipping point that we don't think and we can trust our system, well, we become a banana republic then. I mean, the faith in the institutions that we have and the very foundation of democracy is at jeopardy. So the overall notion and concerns, I think, are legitimate, quite frankly. Absolutely. This some of the harvesting of ballots and stuff like that, it's just, to me, obscene. So I do think there's legitimate concern about ballot integrity. It's not so much about fraud, but it is about trust and common sense. One person, one vote. Yeah. We can verify who that person is, and we can verify that vote.
Just real quick, one more thing, just real quick, because Janet's got a question. Do you see any potential hanky-panky in this way? Like California decided that you could print your own ballots out on your printer. Do you see anything coming down the pike that would be a surprise by way of adding votes?
Well, I don't, because I really haven't focused so much on that.
Okay.
But just the thought that you would say you could print your own ballot and bring it to the polling place,
right?
That just
it just seems absurd.
Wrap my head around such stuff as that.
Yeah,
I find it abhorrent. But that ease. I mean, it's not like going and buying a quart of milk. One of the most important things we do as a citizen is vote.
Right.
And it shouldn't be easy. I mean, it should be more than a mirror test. If the mirror fogs up, then go right ahead. I mean, anyway, it's a right. It's also a privilege. It's a duty. And therefore, it is serious, and it needs to be responsible. If it's no more than going and buying toilet paper and voting at the same time, right there.
It's not even taken seriously,
Yeah. Or drop your ballot off at McDonald's while you're getting a hamburger. I mean, anyway.
Right.
As you can tell, it aggravates me.
So, final question. It was announced that USA Today Washington Bureau Chief Susan Page is going to be moderating the first gubernatorial debate later on this month in Grundy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, research does tell us that the primary effect of debates is reinforcement. If you're for candidate A or candidate B, you think they will, quote, win. Research also says, though, that debates can make a difference of those who are undecided. Right now, the undecided between 5 and 10 points. The campaign and the polls are within 5 points, and so it's going to be very important. And I think more pressure is on Youngkin. He isn't an experienced debater. He's certainly very smart, articulate, wonderful candidate. But you know that McCullough is a good debater.
He's
and
slick.
He's going to be on the attack. And he has that particular very aggressive style. If there's a gaffe, that also can hurt. Now, if I was Youngkin, of course, I'm sure the people are already knowing what the hits are going to be. Practice those. Be careful. Have a couple of zingers yourself. Usually debates may have a magic moment. But I think there's going to be so much attention on this debate, and I think it'll be the only debate. And if I was Youngkin, that would be the only debate, in my opinion.
Especially if it goes well.
Yeah. But it is more risk and potential for Youngkin, pressure on him. He'll have more eyes on him, and the way people learn about the debate is not by watching. It's how the media portrays it.
And that could be a problem.
Major effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's coming up on the 16th.
Time and moment in the campaign.
Well, we're excited about it. Maybe we can talk to you after that to see what your thoughts are and your impressions are after that debate. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As always, it is very valued, and I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of the he said, she said earlier.
Stop.
Well, listen, it's always fun, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, Dr. Bob Denton, Director of School of Communication and the W. Thomas Rice Chair. On the Morning Jam, it is 8:21. We're going to be back here in just a little bit. Don't go anywhere.
Call Janet and Mark. 434-534-8500 or toll free 866-916-3776. Call the Morning Jam. The Morning Jam.